I just booked my first job post-COVID and things are a little different. Hello, it is Sunday. I'm over here living like the other half. I just had a snack of olives and I finished online church service a little earlier, and so now I am getting ready to take an after church nap. Okay, more details soon. Okay, so here is the skinny. I just booked my first job post-COVID and things are a little different. For one, I'm in a hotel. They booked all of, okay, so let's go back. I got booked on a union background role for a production shooting in the Philadelphia area. I did work on this project pre-COVID, and it is an episodic. I also booked a background role on a feature film that's shooting later on in the month. More about that later. So there has been a lot going on in this process, from emailing wardrobe options and filling out paperwork and taking quizzes and getting certifications and getting COVID tests. Low battery. And once I agreed to do the job, they said, we're gonna send you to a hotel. So we got COVID tested on Saturday. And then we went to the hotel and we stayed Saturday night, staying tonight, which is Sunday, and then we shoot tomorrow, which is Monday. And this is for, sorry, the air just kicked on, even though I turned it off. This is for the episodic series that's filming in the Philadelphia area. When they sent the paperwork, I couldn't believe it. I counted and it was 18 attachments. 18 attachments. It took me all day to go through everything. Reading over the rules and regulations, the zones, red, yellow, green, watching the videos and taking the quizzes to get certified. So I finally finished all that. Yes, it actually took a whole day. So I'm union. The good news is, so whether you're union or non-union, you get paid for your hotel days, and you'll probably get paid for your quarantining days also. I know for the other production, we're getting paid for our quarantine days. However, I've only talked to people who either are union or who are working as union. So not sure how it's gonna work on the non-union side for that, because that is quarantining for 8 days, which is substantial. But what have I been doing in this hotel? Well, I made a list of things to do. I said I was going to use the Pivo. I haven't really done that yet. I wanted to test out some of the features like the 50-50 around the world. It does all this fun stuff, and usually I just use it to take regular photos. So the goal is to test out the Pivo while we're here, even though we're losing daylight rapidly. I wanted to hop on a kind of Bible study women's ministry, did that. I said I was gonna take notes from this book I already read, didn't do that yet. Gather expenses for my accountant. I did start doing that and I'm almost finished. Edit a video I started, not yet. Filming this video was on the list. We're doing that now, yay. And the last thing was to work on a website for my friend that I said I was gonna do. Yeah, I'll be doing that also. I washed my makeup brushes. That wasn't on the list. It was mentally on my list, but I didn't actually write it down. So, glad to get this done after having the intention to do it for so long. There's supposed to be this new food ordering system where you go, there's gonna be an app, but the app isn't ready. And so you're actually going onto a website and choosing what you wanna eat the you to do it by 2 a.m. And that's such like a random cutoff time. Nobody, well, not that nobody's up at 2 a.m. I didn't want to forget. So I've been checking and checking and checking, and finally it still wasn't available by 4 p.m. So I emailed the casting director, and they said it's not working, so they're going to take paper orders tomorrow. I'm not mad at it. However, I was kind of worried about it, and I kept asking people to remind me. So yeah, that's that. Maybe they'll be using it in the future. I'm interested to know what the other production is going to be doing. So that's the future of catering in COVID. You pre-order your food. There will be breakfast tomorrow though, so I'll let you know how breakfast goes, because usually breakfast is a buffet line, or you go to the catering truck and order something, like, you know, they make it for you sight unseen. So we'll see what that's going to be like. In all of the paperwork, it suggested that while we're in the hotel, we order food, which is what I did. So I used Instacart to order groceries from Aldi yesterday. There was a $2 service. No, there was no delivery fee, and they suggested a $2 tip, which I happily gave. And Mr. Troy did a great job selecting my items. I thought I could save a little bit of money. We did get a $60 per diem. And okay, so here's the breakdown of the dollars so far on the union side. It's $178 for an 8-hour day. So for testing day, quarantine day, and shoot day, we're getting $178 each day. On filming day, obviously we'll get overtime after 8 hours. On quarantine day, they added generously a $60 per diem, and then on testing day, they added like $44.50. So interested to see what the check is gonna look like. I will let you know, because listen, y'all, we all in business to make money. That is the purpose of a business. If you wanted to be an actor as a hobby, you would just do community theater. I'm just saying. I know that's a gross generalization. I just say that to say that it's important to focus on the money, because we have bills to pay. We have families, we have cars, we have rent and mortgages. So the money is important. So I think it's important to talk about it. So I'm always going to be talking about money. The zones are kind of funky, so I'll tell you a little bit about how they're working. There are 3 zones: red, yellow, green. The weird part is the zones mean something different depending on the production you're in. For instance, this production, I can't remember which is which. Okay, green means you're probably going to be, this is my understanding, you're probably going to be in close contact with people without masks. Okay? Yellow is you're going to be more spread out. You will have some contact, however, it's not immediate contact, kind of, I think. And then red is you're going to be interacting with some things that everyone will be interacting with, kind of like you'll be touching stuff. However, you don't need to be around people closely without a mask on. For instance, red might represent vendors, so people bringing food, maybe people doing locations, that kind of thing. And green would be the principal actors and people in the scenes, you know, standing close to each other, people speaking lines, that kind of thing. Probably even the director, the first AD, the PAs. So there's that. Then on the other production, so in this production, I'm green. And then the next production, which is the feature film, I'm yellow. Yellow seems to be the same, so that means I'm not really going to be close to people for yellow. I'm not really going to be close to people, and they're letting me quarantine at home instead of being in a hotel, because for the feature film, some people are quarantining in the hotel, and it's for roles that they're really going to be up against each other, and they're quarantining for 8 days, y'all, and getting paid for all 8 of those days. The camera was on the wrong side, and I just noticed and flipped the phone around. Okay, the people in close contact for the feature film are actually quarantining for 8 days in a hotel, And yellow people like me are able to quarantine at home during that period. I have a friend who's also doing the feature film. He said they gave him the option to either quarantine at home or to quarantine at the hotel. I think he chose the hotel, so I thought that was interesting because originally I thought they had green quarantining at the hotel and then yellow quarantining at home. So they either ran out of budget or ran out of rooms, or that's just not the way it is because, like I said, my friend was given the option. I'm also not sure whether his position is green or yellow. If I asked him, I forgot. So for the feature film, red means you're going to be in close contact with people. Yellow is you're kind of near people but not that much, and then red is you're the furthest away. I thought it was really interesting that the systems are similar in the sense that they're red, yellow, green, but then they flip them, so there is kind of some standardization but not fully. We're all learning as we go. Stay tuned. I wasn't going to take this role, but my mom told me to take it, so I did. That's why I'm here. Hey, I'm home. So we wrapped early today. It is Monday and about, I don't know what time it is. Let's say it's 3 o'clock. My call time was around 5 a.m. and we wrapped around 11:30 or 12 p.m. So nice short day. However, they let the morning crew go, which was mostly union, and they left the crew that came in around 8 a.m., 8 to 9 a.m. That was mostly non-union, so they're probably gonna film another scene because they wrapped us and not them. So, and when I say crew, I mean actors, SAG actors and the non-union actors. Okay, so here is the skinny from today. First thing when we got on set, after we parked, we were shuttled over to this area where we got checked in by a PA, and we sat there and holding outside until we got our COVID test. They took the COVID test by time, so, and not just the time you got in, but your check-in time. So let's say the 5 a.m.s went first, and the 5:15s, and the 5:30s, and so on. So we got those, and they never told us our results were clear. It was just sort of implied. And so after we did the test, they swabbed both of our nostrils, and then we were able to go to holding. The original paperwork said to come 20 minutes early if you wanted to have breakfast. And then when we got there, they said there was actually paper order forms. So they gave us the order forms, we filled them out, put our name on them, and then they delivered breakfast to us in a brown paper bag, but in a nice way. The bag had handles, and it was plastic single serve containers, and you could order whatever you want. It was pretty good. I had biscuits and gravy and some bacon and some eggs. When we were on set, I did see craft services, so I went over there, and it's a little more tame than I'm used to, but also depending on the production and their budget, you know, the Crafty and catering can really vary. So there were some good options. The big difference was you don't serve yourself. There's a person behind the table, and you tell them what you'd like. You can get whatever you want, and they hand it to you. So it keeps people from touching everything because, you know, we've done it and we've seen it. Catering. Like breakfast, catering was also a paper menu system. Originally, we were supposed to order through an app, but apparently the app wasn't working or something was going on with the app, so we did paper ordering instead. And I assume that would apply to lunch or dinner. I happened to be there for lunch, so they took our order, and again, it was delivered in the paper bag with the plastic inside. It came with utensils and condiments, and for the first time ever, I saw hand sanitizer packets. It looked like a ketchup packet or a mayonnaise packet, but it had hand sanitizer in it, and I thought that was such a nice touch. And that's in addition, obviously, to hand sanitizing stations being everywhere. They really did a good job with that. Mask protocol. Let's see. Everyone had a mask on at all times. It wasn't a big issue until probably wardrobe. When we went to be checked by wardrobe, there was a gentleman handing out the N95 masks. They're white, and I had seen these masks before. The difference here was it said N95 on the outside, so there was no doubt what it was. And he said we had to wear that particular mask. So some people had cloth masks, and my mom got me this special mask that I think had silver on the inside and outside, so it's supposed to sanitize itself so you don't have to wash it, and it had the little respirator. Those were, it's not that they weren't allowed, it's just that if you wanted to use your own mask, you had to put the white N95 mask on top of it. Which is understandable because, you know, people could bring any kind of mask that, whether it's good or counterfeit, you really wouldn't know. So just to make sure everyone's protected, they're making everybody wear this standard mask. So I was not mad at it. And this gentleman, again, was at props because I had forgotten to put the white mask on. I still had my cloth mask with the respirator, and he gave me another one and said, you have to put this on or step away. And actually, no, he said, you have to put this on and step away from everybody until you put it on. So again, I wasn't mad at that. It was all for the greater good. So I put it on, and then I came back to the group. That was at the props table. Hand sanitizer. There was hand sanitizer everywhere. There was even a props sanitizing station that had sanitizers and sprays. It was under a tent, and there were people wiping things down. And then when we were on set, there was a person who was spraying down the things that were being touched by the principal actors. I won't tell you what it is, just in case, not to reveal any secrets. It wasn't a big deal. It was, you know, a common use item. It just kept getting wiped down on the common places you touch, you know, railings, handles, that kind of thing. At all times, we had to be 6 feet apart, or just to make sure when you spread your arms out, you weren't touching someone. They enforced that pretty well and asked us to, you know, break up if we were walking together or if we were standing in line, just to put more distance between us. One other thing I forgot to mention was there was social distancing and holding. It was very organized. Only 2 people sat to a table, and so there were lots of tables and chairs around, and the places where you weren't supposed to sit had the chairs up on the table. If that was a place where you could sit, the chair was down. And one time there were 3 people at a table, and he was like, nope, you need to come over here where a chair is down because you're too close to other people. So social distancing, even in holding, was paramount. And they kind of ran out of room in the holding room, and they put some people in the hallway just to keep the distance guidelines. When we went to wardrobe, that was a little bit different because our wardrobe was pre-selected. We emailed the wardrobe department and they approved certain things. For those who didn't get wardrobe approved for whatever reason, let's say they came on the production late or whatever, they were told to bring all of their options. But for those of us who had options that were approved, we were told to bring the first and the second choice. So to wear your first choice and to bring your second choice. And it seemed like wardrobe was pretty hands-off. They're usually very touchy-touchy. This time, nope. They just looked and pointed, and if they needed to give you something to wear, they would hand it to you, but otherwise you stayed pretty far away from the table where they were. And obviously they also had on masks, and I believe they also had on goggles, eye protection. There was a slightly different protocol for the safety of the different players on set. For instance, the background actors wore paper N95 masks. The principal actors wore face shields, and that's completely understandable because those of us who wore masks, we had the mask line and our makeup was rubbed off on the side and the lipstick came off. So the principals wore the face shields, and they actually carried around a big brown paper bag with handles that had their name on it. And I assume that's what they put the face shield in because they had it with them quite often. Not when we were shooting, but anytime we weren't shooting, they had it with them. And then just got the second COVID test for the second project, which is unrelated to what I'm going to say. I just wanted to make clear that when I was on the production that just wrapped yesterday, people wore masks all the time. Even when we were shooting, when we did rehearsals, everybody wore masks when we were shooting.
They would say mask off, we would shoot the scene. They would say mask back on, they would review the footage, and if we needed to do another take, we would do it then, but masks always went back on in between takes. So I hope that makes you feel a little more comfortable.
The other staff or the other crew, so these are people that I guess are also in the hot zone, so they deal directly with the actors, they're in close contact with the actors, and it was like the camera operator, the assistant director, even I believe the director. I couldn't exactly tell who the director is, but I kind of had a guess. So they wore the paper face mask plus either eye protection that was plastic or a face shield on top of their mask. And actually, I want to say they had the paper mask and the goggles. Now, hair and makeup, who dealt directly with the principals, they looked like they were going into surgery. So they had the paper mask. Most of them, if I remember correctly, all had the face shield that was plastic, and then they wore those paper gowns that doctors and nurses wear before they go into surgery. Every single one of them had that on top of their clothes. So that was kind of a surprise. They were ready to get down and dirty. I think that's about it. It was really comforting that, number one, we were tested early and quarantined, and then my understanding is every day that you're on set, you will be retested before you can step onto the set. I'm only working one day, or I only worked one day, that's why I'm saying that's my understanding. That's really comforting because theoretically you're around people who are all negative, and if someone is positive, they're kind of kicked out the club before they can contaminate the safe area. I would do it again, and actually I am scheduled for another gig next week. I believe it's next week. I know the date, I'm just not sure of the exact day. That's why I said I think it's next week. And I'm quarantining at home until then. In that job, I'm not going to be in close contact with people. It's another background job, and I have a feeling I'm going to be kind of by myself just because of the description of the type of background role. So I'll give you an update on that when it happens. And I found out union and non-union. My understanding, I'm union, so I'll tell you from a union perspective, but my understanding is non-union is getting the same thing. So we got this was the union rate, $178 per day. So that included the testing day, the quarantining day, and the filming day. And then I believe also everyone got $44.50 as either a partial per diem or maybe like a travel allowance to go to the site for the testing. The next day we got an additional $60 for per diem. So I'm gonna total all that up and put it on the screen, at least what we're expected to get. And then once I get it, I'll probably do an updated video to let you know for sure. So that was nice because it's just nice to have your time accounted for. Oh, and there's an update. Apparently we may also get paid for the training videos we did. Remember I told you all of that process took all day? I was glad to do it. It was just very time intensive though. So hopefully we get paid for that. I will give you an update on that later. And apparently, hopefully we're also being paid for the time we're quarantining for the other project. So again, I'll give you an update on that later, but I'm hoping and expecting that we'll get paid for that also. So yeah, if you're feeling uncomfortable about going back on set, I hope this makes you feel a little bit more comfortable, or at least gives you an idea of what to expect. The other thing is, this is a big production, so think of, one of the biggest networks in the world that people in other countries probably definitely know about. They have bigger budgets, and because they hire union actors, the union has done a lot to dictate the safety protocols. I've heard of people being on smaller sets of smaller commercials or independent films and things weren't as tight. So that just gives you an idea of where my experience comes from. And if you're not on one of these really large productions, you may not have the same experience I had. But there it is. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.